Hey guys, welcome to the 24 Hours of Le Mans and welcome to a new series with BMW. I'm here joined by Sylvia Neubauer. I'm trying to say that right all the time. Neubauer?
It gets better and better
It gets
every
better?
time.
Okay, so how would you say it though?
Well, in German it is Neubauer.
Neubauer, like from Neu Klasse.
Yeah.
Neubauer. See, that's easy
There,
enough.
now you have
Now,
the bridge.
let me get the title right. Vice President of Customer Brand and Sales BMW M GmbH.
You're really doing your
Did I miss
homework.
something? All right, so
Horatio.
it's about this long. It's going to be tough
Yeah.
to fit like on the
Yeah.
screen. But Sylvia, thank you once again for having me here. It's good to see you. Fantastic event as always here. Honestly, you guys put up a great show, and I always encourage people if they have a chance to buy the tickets to come here because it's truly a unique experience and it gets better and better like every year.
It definitely does.
And it's your second time here.
It's my second time here. Last year with Julie Merito and our LMDH art car was the first time for me to be here in Le Mans. And this year we have again an amazing place at our glamping experience with a nice smaller hospitality and then a bigger BMW M hospitality right at the racetrack where all of our guests and media influencers have an amazing time, a direct view onto the circuit and onto the race. And yeah, we have our BMW M community around here, so it's an amazing place to be.
So speaking of that, I mean, there were a lot of people walking around with these new logos, the GenM. There was a bit of a communication on that, but I'm still trying to understand what's GenM. So where are you going with GenM? Oh, you have one right there. Oh, okay, that's cool. I see you're way ahead of the game. Now we need to get some passport covers with GenM because I have one with M-Town. I was talking about that yesterday with Frank too, and it looks quite cool. But okay, so what's GenM?
So GenM is the new brand impulse that we want to bring into our communication, and we have kicked it off here at Le Mans with the GenM community. And let's first step back into the year 2019 when we had our M-Town campaign. Obviously M-Town as like the dream location for all of the passionate M owners in the world was a very successful campaign that we built on over the course of a couple of years. Also with Gigi Hadid and Where Too Much Is Just Right. So things like grew from that M-Town story. And just last year, 2024, we had the feeling that especially with like the product impulses with the Neue Klasse still being a bit far away, we wanted something to strengthen the brand and to have a story to talk about. But obviously we did not just want to do the second chapter of M-Town, but we were thinking of what are the paths that we could choose in an authentic way. And we had several ideas, and the one that caught all of us in the first moment was the GenM idea. GenM stands for Generation M, but different to what we call Gen X, Y, Z, Alpha. GenM is not defined by your age, but it's defined by your mindset. So no matter what is your background, what's your age, where you come from, where you live in the world, if you have a passion for high performance cars and if you have a passion for performance in any dimension, then you belong to GenM. And it gives me goosebumps when talking about it because I think it's such a strong thing and it's so easy to understand. And whomever I've talked to, everyone said, wow, I get it, it's so cool, GenM, and I feel I belong to GenM. And this is how we want to grow the community and really engage even more with our owners in the world, but also with like-minded people that probably do not yet own a BMW M because also they belong to GenM.
Okay, so how do we bring this together? Because I'll give you an idea. I was, back in the day, there used to be these M festivals, and there was one of them at the Nürburgring during the 24 hours, which was fantastic. I actually went there with your team quite a few times, essentially drive a car from Munich to there, do the Corso on that. It was fantastic, and it was nice connecting with people. There were those times where it was more about human, personal connections, offline versus online. But since we live in a digital world today, how can you make sure that these two things come together? Because a lot of people, I feel like they're missing this person-to-person connection. So that's one thing. And the second one is a lot of these festivals that take place in the US, they're independent, organized by BMW, but just by some of the brands. It's all about bringing people that own BMWs together and other people that don't maybe have one. So how can you bridge this gap between digital and offline and create this meaningful connection?
So basically, obviously, we have both paths in mind, like the digital path and the physical in-person path. And you're totally right, there are already so many customer groups that connect and that do their meetups, and they go for scenic drives, they go to racetracks, they have a great time together with their cars. Sometimes they do it on their own, sometimes they do it together with their dealer who offers something really cool. And us as a brand, BMW M, we want to engage more on like market level, dealer level, but also with those customer groups. And now let's think of a digital path where we can activate that community, and later I'm going to talk about the more physical events that we have in mind. So a digital activation of GenM. Think of what we just did with regards to the fireproof underwear for our LMDH race drivers. We asked the community to comment on social media with the wishes that they want to bring to our race drivers, and those wishes and sentences where they wish them good luck for the race here in Le Mans, we printed them on the fireproof underwear, and guys are out there racing.
Nice.
It's a beautiful activation, and I think that's like that little spin and that what makes the difference with regards to BMW M, how we involve our community. Then obviously we are bringing the BMW M community into the My BMW app in Germany as a minimum viable product end of this year. But as soon as we know what works well, we can scale this to other markets, which means every M owner will be part of the M community in the app.
So like a social network of...
Like a social network, a bit also like Rolls-Royce Whispers. So you have that community, and you can, we will communicate all of our events, special information, behind the scenes content within the My BMW app in that M community section. I think that is also a digital part, but I think it will help people to connect. Because, for example, if we communicate a meetup, M-Drive event, then everyone who takes note of it could simply sign up or say, hey, I'm part of it, and show up at a certain driving event and connect with all of the other owners on a personal level. And this is exactly what happens here in Le Mans with the M community and the GenM community that we brought together. We had a group of dealers, but also customers driving from UK to Le Mans. So they had beautiful M Cars, they did their scenic ride to Le Mans, they are staying with us now until Monday, and then they'll drive back. Customers from Belgium, they flew in, had a beautiful day with us yesterday, are flying back today. So that's how we want to use events as Le Mans and the beautiful hospitality that we are having to bring the community together. And by the way, the GenM, that was a specially selected group of influencers, not only from the automotive scene, but very much so from lifestyle, fashion, with a network into other target groups where BMW M at the moment is not yet so well connected. So we would love to grow through their network and open BMW M as a brand to make additional potential M lovers of the future aware of the brand.
Gotcha. Okay, so I guess we will see a little bit more of this as the year progresses, right? So there will be some activations that will learn more about this and all of that. So, okay, so now, so we talk about the community. I'm gonna go straight for the more product-oriented questions. So Frank Van Meel, BMW M CEO, yesterday kind of pointed to me as I was filming him that, you know, the manuals are still here, manuals are still staying alive and all of that. Well, the one thing that he hasn't mentioned really yesterday was, is he talking about current generation of cars, or do you believe that the manuals, and we've talked about it a little bit like in the past, but I still want to emphasize that there is still a future for manuals in even future products past what we have today. Like, is there a demand in certain markets that could keep that manual alive? Even though I understand from a business perspective, maybe it doesn't make sense. For some markets, the take rate is very low, but it's a great marketing tool. For the US, for example, 50% of the M2s there, you know, Frank told me they're sold with a manual. So with that being said, future for manuals in future cars, or?
I know you will always ask that question in every interview.
Yeah.
So for the current model lineup, we always have ideas in mind to bring more manuals into certain markets in a certain quantity, because we know that there are manual transmission lovers out there. And yes, we will keep you happy. For the Neue Klasse architecture.
But even past the Neue Klasse, let's say future ICE M products.
I think their BMW M will always be very creative.
Okay.
Yeah.
So basically the door is not closed. Let's say there is a future M3 that's ICE. The door is not closed to manuals, basically.
We can always think about it. And you know, BMW M is a rather entrepreneurial company of very passionate M guys. So if our engineers can make it happen, I think they will always try to do so.
Okay, sounds good. All right, so now let's talk about Neue Klasse, and also Frank also mentioned yesterday, these two cars, once again, electric and the regular M car. How do you see these two different target groups? Like, who do you think will buy the M3 electric, and who do you think will still stick with the M3 ICE?
Yeah, so first of all, I'm very happy that BMW has that strategy of the power of choice, where we will deliver combustion engines, plug-in hybrids, mild hybrids, all-electric drivetrains to the markets. You also know about our hydrogen project at BMW that we will bring to the market. So it's about technology openness. And for BMW M, I think this is also really relevant because we have that core target group of petrol heads. They want combustion engines. But if you think of the sheer performance, power, precision, pure M driving characteristics that we will also be able to provide with the all-electric BMW M3 in the future, I believe that we will be able to convince many of our today's combustion engine target group to at least try the all-electric BMW M3.
Yeah.
And I am very confident that once you have driven the car, you will be wowed by the driving characteristics. It will be a true BMW M car, and therefore I am confident that we will get a large part of today's M customers into the all-electric BMW M3.
I'm going to throw a curveball at you a little bit, because yesterday Dirk Hacker, the head of R&D, casually teased us that you're always exploring additional MX Drive products, basically, and clearly the only one missing today is the M2. Do you think that an M2 xDrive would make sense overall, and why, if it does?
Clear yes.
Okay. And any reason why it would make sense? Is it like something specific to the US where people love to have the xDrive to be able to drive it all year round, or do you think people, if you get an M2 xDrive, will they be turned off by the additional weight, or the benefits will outweigh the additional weight?
I think the benefits will outweigh the additional weight, and we have been test driving some of those cars, and I can tell you they're a lot of fun.
Okay, so you guys are always exploring all kind of ideas. We just need to wait, I guess, to see what's going on. Now, M2 CS, the car just came out. Have you got the first batch of orders in? Do you see a huge demand for it, or?
We do see huge demand for it. The design of the car is just so amazing. The ducktail is a detail that people just fall in love with. I also think we chose amazing color rim combination with the carbon bucket seats inside and the CS typical elements. Obviously also more horsepower and 30 kilograms less weight. It's amazing for an M2. So the demand is very positive. We already have increased production requests for certain markets by quite some units.
What are the top 3 markets in terms of demand for the M2 CS, or at least projected demand?
So the US definitely is a big market for the M2 CS. Also Germany is, and we also see a lot of demand from China. Okay,
got it. Now, we've talked offline, a couple of nights ago, and that thing just popped to mind right now. When it comes to the M2, it's made in Mexico, clearly, but it's such a new plant that the rollout of individual colors was quite slow for the M2. And now we got to a point where we have a very, very good lineup of colors. The question is, how can you make sure that these colors get made a little bit faster? And I guess for BMW cars to be something new because they expect the car to come within 2 months and sometimes even like on the lot. But can that be sped up?
Honestly speaking, individual colors, that's a very, very complex topic. If you slice it into what happens in the ordering process for the customer, for the dealer, then you have the production process in our plant, but also at our suppliers, because all of the parts that are being mounted to the car, they need to be perfect with regards to the matching color. This is something that BMW really is very putting very much attention to that detail too. And then it is also about the logistics between the different continents. So yes, we do have a situation for San Luis Potosí where individual colors is not yet on the same level as, for example, individual colors that come from our plant in Dingolfing or Spartanburg. But we have started it now, and once we've started it, we will continue to improve and get processes better and better and faster to the markets.
Okay. So speaking of individual colors, the one question that I've always had was, how do you pick these individual colors for a car? Is it a collaboration between marketing, design, engineering? Like, for example, why would you pick violet blue and not do techno violet or any other blue? Like, how do you make that decision?
That's definitely a process that runs during the design phase of the car together with the designers. They have a very strong say in what they think looks good on a car. It's also the product line, so the responsible team that does the car. And many times we also look into history at historic colors that we used on certain M models. And then another facet that is important is we also look at the entire product portfolio. What colors have we picked for other cars that we launch at the same time? So we always want to make sure that there's a nice spread within the color scheme.
Okay. So when we talk about BMW individual colors, in the past, M was known for naming them after racetracks. Of course, there were less products, so clearly there were plenty of racetracks. Now you ran out of them and you came up with different names, which could resemble cities like Miami Blue, Brooklyn Gray, Downington Gray, and so on and so forth. How do you come up with these names at M?
Very good question, and I think I needed to connect you with some of the real experts in my team in order to dig deeper into all of the naming convention, also with the history from the past. But let us think about some of the BMW individual colors. To my knowledge, many of the color names came from gemstones. So that was one story. The second one, which is really relevant for BMW M, is the naming according to the famous racetracks that we are racing at. And then you just name some cities. Yes, I believe this is just also a way of saying thank you to the customers in our markets worldwide. So we have Brooklyn Gray and all of those namings. And yeah, probably I should connect you with the guys.
Yeah, I'll be interested to get a full story, how they sit down and come up with names, because some of these names, they do become iconic.
They do. And think of also one very specific name, Borusan Turkish Blue.
Okay.
Borusan is Borusan Automotive. It's a race team in Turkey, and Borusan Automotive also happens to be our importer in Turkey, very important partner for us. So we have that name according to
we have to
this
figure
company.
one out that's going to be called Chicago something, and that'll be an interesting one.
I guess you want a BMW Block Blue.
That would be a great one. If I could design my own color one day, that would be a dream come true. That would be amazing. Or Horatio Blue. Love blues. Okay, so now let's talk about the future of M, but also the future of automotive in general, because we've talked about this in the past, that everything changes so quickly, you don't know which direction to go and all of that, but are there still any segments that could be tackled on from your perspective, from the overall automotive perspective? I know on the regular AG side, the BMW series production, they're always exploring new ideas, even off-roading and all of that, and adventures and everything else. But are there still untapped segments where you could go in and still have a meaningful impact, or something that connects still with M, because it still has to be an M in the end? You definitely broke the ice with the XM lineup, like X5M, X6M, and so on, X3M, which is one of my favorite cars too. But are there still untapped segments, considering the sedan is kind of dying also?
But I don't think that the sedan is really dying. The sedan segment is still a rather
growing, yeah.
stable segment in many regions of the world.
Yeah.
In the US, obviously, there's more the trend towards SUVs, SAVs. Well, then think of the XM that just 3 years ago we added to our portfolio as a very extrovert, progressive design language in the SAV lineup. And yes, obviously we always think of where might be potential markets for the future. Many times we are doing this together with our AG colleagues because obviously we need some base car in order to then turn it into a high performance model. And there are some ideas that we are discussing with our AG colleagues at the moment.
Okay, let me probe you a little bit more. So when the design team unveiled the shooting brake touring coupe 2 years ago, you know, that car had a normal B58 engine and an S50, but a lot of people said, okay, that's the car that M should make for sure. I mean, it was beautiful. It would have been insanely fast with an S58, so that's one. Second one, just a few weeks ago, I was in Italy unveiling the speed top, and of course it's an M8 like underneath. So the first question that I got is, how come the M is not doing a cool shooting brake, you know, and all of that? Because the shape is there, the shape is cool, and you can make it even, you know, you can make it M, not even more. You can make it M, and I feel like, you know, like Adrian Van Hooydonk was saying, that's such a sexy segment for a lot of people. You know, beautiful shape, unique, and all of that. So how come no M shooting brake, you know, all these years?
At the moment, we're really focusing on bringing the Neue Klasse models to life, and also the duality of having.
Could be an EV also. Could be not necessarily a nice. Like in the end, I think the shape was the attractive part. Of course, if you drop a V8 in it, even better, of course. But is that an attractive shape, you think, for mass production? Practicality?
I think the shape is attractive, but with regards to the speed top, I think also the very exclusive limited number of cars was very desirable for a small target group of collectors. Okay. And we would have to look deeper into the data and also our gut feeling whether we would do that in a, let's say, larger series production context.
Okay, so let me end this because I put you on the spot quite a bit, but I'm going to end with another one that's interesting because...
Is it manual transmission again?
No, we kind of cleared that. Like, hopefully one day I will get a full commitment that, you know, that there will be... So I'm going to keep trying, you know, that's going to become an ongoing joke between us, you know.
I promise you will be the first one to know.
Okay, sounds good. Please let me know. So Adrian Van Hooydonk and his team opened the doors of all these small production, you know, or small volume cars like the Speed Top, Sky Top, and clearly he raised the price point enough for people to understand that yes, I can pay, or I'm paying €500,000 for a BMW. Is that helping you in any way to follow a similar strategy where maybe you do one-offs that maybe there are 100 units, 200 units, maybe even 50 units at a higher price point, but so unique in so many ways, design and maybe interior and whatever performance, that people are willing to pay more for a car? Because I told Frank yesterday also, and Dirk, you know, we're having a quite long conversation that the 3.0 CSL, it's a car that was loved. People thought that that's what the regular M3 M4 should have been, but the price point was prohibitive for 99% of the people. So with that being said, something like that, could it be brought down into a cheaper price and more units for people?
So if you were sitting with Frank van Meel and myself in some of my weekly meetups...
You can invite me, we'll do a Zoom session.
Exactly, you would witness how I address this topic to him again and again and again, because I truly believe we need a brand shaper, which is more the very limited one, the dream car at a higher price point for very few collectors. And then from there probably also like not a huge series amount of cars, but like a smaller series in order to make a bit more customers happy at a reasonable price point. So yes, we are discussing things, but we need to find the right time in order to do it.
Okay. I guess the right time could be any time, because the design team they now do it like every year because they figured there is a customer base for it, and in many ways other brands do it too. Porsche does it with some special 911s and all of that, and they all seem to be sold out. So there's clearly a good business case. I guess the question is on their side was also what's the right amount of units to make it exclusive enough, but for the brand to make sense to make money, right? So I guess that's that. And I'm not even talking about supercar. I'm talking about, I had a conversation with Frank during the panel as well in Villa d'Este, that it's not about a supercar, maybe it's just about a very special sports car. And I told him and also Oliver Heilmer that my favorite car of the last probably 15 years of them, it's the BMW 2002 Turbo. Two of them, or two homage cars, which I feel like that's like the perfect car to do something like that.
Yeah. So be assured we share the same dream and passion. And yes, we have also been talking to Adrian van Hooydonk and the team who does the small series planning. And there is a slot reserved for BMW M.
Okay, so there's a slot. Okay, so that's a decent commitment that there is a slot in the
I
future
haven't mentioned the
for
date,
BMW.
but
No, of course, there's a slot in the future, which could be a year or 20 years or whatever. Okay, but at least you're approaching that segment basically, of that idea. Perfect. Well, Sylvia, thank you so much for this. It was very informative. I guess next time we meet, maybe in the fall, there will be some more M3 EV news as well that we can share. Of course, that's quite interesting. And then next year, maybe some M2 stuff as well.
It's some manual transmission information for you.
Thank you so much once
You're
again,
welcome.
and enjoy Le Mans right here.
Thank you very much.
Guys, thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.